guys, it's your girl Kier the Healer, and you are tuned into a story time. Get ready because we're about to talk about some weird ass shit. So I'm gonna just let you know right now. So these are stories that I have based off of personal experiences. This is just for entertainment purposes only. You could take this with a grain of salt. Whatever you believe, you believe. Whatever you don't, you don't. You don't have to. I'm just sharing things that happened to me as not only as a practitioner, but also as a spiritual being. Having, my senses open to everything, being aware of the shit that's going on around me. These are just, like I said, personal experiences. You take it how you want, but let's go ahead and get into it. So the first story that I have, I was talking to this guy, and we were having a little sleepover or whatever. And when I first met him, like, I knew he was different or whatever. And what I mean by that is, like, he had gifts that he was unaware of. But like I said, I knew there was something different about him, especially because of his background. Like, a lot of this stuff just made sense as to why, like, I experienced some of the things that I did with him. But anyhow, so this is how it goes. One night, we were together. We decided to have a little sleepover. He spends the night, and I'm asleep. He's asleep. I kept having, like, weird ass dreams, kind of. Like, it wasn't, but it didn't feel like a dream because I wasn't fully asleep. I just kept tossing and turning because the energy felt very heavy. The energy felt very thick. It felt like weird wherever like when I was like trying to go back to sleep, like I felt like something was watching me. I felt like something was there. Although I do a lot of deity work, I was like, this don't feel like no deity. This don't feel right. It was giving me, like, if you're familiar with any parasites or entities, if you ever had, a psychic attack or like an entity attachment, this is very similar to what it felt like, but it was like very fucking late at night. It was like 3 o'clock in the morning. I just kept waking up. I'll look at my phone and I'm like, damn, something feels off. And then I felt him tossing and turning all night. So I'm like, okay, well, maybe it's just the energy that's going on, like, or within, the room. That's why we feel off. So I end up falling asleep, and I fall asleep and I had a dream. And in my dream, it was very weird because it felt real. It didn't feel like a dream. But in my dream, the way that my couch was set up in my living room in my house, you would have to walk through. You go through a hallway, and then when you look out, you see the couch. But the couch, you see the back of the couch, and then there's a TV, so you would see the back of somebody's head when you're walking out towards the couch. And in my dream, I get up from my bed, so I'm like sleeping in my bed. In the dream, get up, walk out through the doorway, through the hallway, and I look and see him sitting out there, and it's pitch black. All I could see is the back of his head. And in my dream, something felt like, no, this is wrong, don't do it. No, this is wrong, don't do it. And I'm like walking towards him like, yo, you good? Like, are you okay? And he's not answering me. And it's just like, just all I can see is the back of his head. So I'm like, okay, like something is off, something don't seem right. So I get closer, and the way that I'm moving in my dream, it felt like real life because I'm like slowly stepping, like, yo, you good? Like, you're not answering me. And he just wouldn't answer. All I see is the back of his head, and he's just looking face forward, like he won't look at me. So finally, I get closer to him, and I'm like, yo, like, are you good? And he turns around and look at me, and everything is like pitch black. Like, I don't even know how to explain it, but it was like an entity. Like, it was just pitch black. And I woke up. Like, I remember waking up out of my sleep, and I was like, what the fuck? And I was like scared to go to sleep. So I like stayed up a little bit on my phone. Like, I just was like, every time I start falling asleep, I'm like, no, like, I don't want that to happen again. Like, I need to cleanse the house. I need to smoke cleanse when I wake up. Like, this don't feel right. Or when I get out of bed, I gotta smoke cleanse. But I didn't want to say anything to him because, I mean, he was a little bit familiar with the work that I did, but not too much into it. And I didn't want to get too much into it. So I didn't want to wake him up like, yeah, we need to smoke cleanse the house. You need to take a bath, like a spiritual bath. Like, we need to, no, I didn't do all that. So I was just like, I'm just going to turn over when this man leave. Like, I'm going to clean my house. because something ain't fucking right. There's some fucking entity in here, and that shit ain't got nothing to do with me. It came with him. So it was very funny because then I end up falling asleep eventually, and I woke up the next day, and he looked a little weird too, because like I said, I felt him tossing and turning all night, him like not being able to sleep comfortably. And then he tells me, I'm like, well, we wake up in the morning. I'm like, yeah, like, how are you doing? Like, is everything good? And he was like, like, nah, I'm gonna be honest, nah, not really. And I'm like, well, like, what's wrong? And he was like, I didn't sleep well last night. And I was like, oh, was it because of me like tossing and turning or whatever? And he was like, nah. And I'm like, okay, well, what is it? Because it seemed like he was being around the bush. And he was like, this is gonna sound really weird. And I'm like, what? He was like, well, I was asleep, and um and I was having a dream, but it wasn't really a dream. And my jaw is just like what? And he's like, because I'm feeling like this is very similar. Like this is starting to feel like the same, like what he's about to tell me. And he's like, yeah, I was sleeping, and it felt like I was having a dream, but I was sleeping and there was something that was on top of me trying to hold me down. The crazy part was like, so he basically was having sleep paralysis. If you're unfamiliar with sleep paralysis is, I'm gonna tell you what sleep paralysis is for me because I've experienced before. It's an entity. That's an entity attachment. If you have sleep paralysis, which I know some people say, your body goes paralyzed, and they say it's a scientific thing that happens. Your body goes to sleep and it's in a certain state, and you can't control and move your body. But in my personal experience, especially with doing the work that I do, having sleep paralysis, that is an entity that is attached to you. That is an entity, whether it's attached to you or the room you're in, the space you're in, whatever the case is. That's what I experienced when it came to sleep paralysis. It was a being, an entity, something dark and heavy that came on top of me and was holding me down, and I was unable to move. There's times where I've had multiple entities that has happened with sleep paralysis, where I've seen one and it came on top of me, and there was other ones still standing in the corner watching me. So he basically experienced sleep paralysis, which was crazy because the dream that I had when I went to go check him, like when he was telling me like the time that this was happening, this was around the same time that I was having that dream. So he basically said that there was like an entity, there was like something dark that was on top of him, that was holding him down, and he was unable to move. And then finally he got like his consciousness or whatever back, or he was able to come back to his body and get control, and the thing left. But yeah, that was one of the experiences that I have. That was just a weird ass fucking experience, especially because, like I said, I have my own experience with sleep paralysis, which I might as well get into that too because that was a freaky ass story. But I've never had an experience where I dreamt with somebody and they were experiencing the same thing at the same time that I was. So that was fucking weird as hell. He was honestly the only person that I've ever dated that I knew that we were able to dream together. Like we would have similar dreams, or like he would be dreaming and I could experience or have the same dream as him. That was the first time I've ever experienced that, it was pretty fucking dope. Even though he was toxic as hell, it was pretty dope that we were able to do that because he was, enlightened, or like, his crown was very open. He was open to learning, doing things, but that's another story. So we'll get into my story now about sleep paralysis. And let me know if this is like something that's similar that you've ever experienced. Let me know if this is something that, you found a way to not have it experience again. To me, like I said, this might not resonate with everybody because y'all, you're your own being. You're going to have your own experience. Things are going to be different for you. But sleep paralysis, when I experienced it, the few times that I did, that was an entity. That was another being, another, another, I don't want to say life, but another being. Something else was there. This was not a figment of my imagination. This was not something that I was creating, because there's a lot of times that you can create energy. This was some kind of energy from somewhere else, a parasite that was feeding off of me. So this one was when I was younger. I was maybe about 13 years old. And I used to have to sleep with music on. Or I used to fall asleep with music on all the time. Just listening to a radio station, I'll just put the music on. I start falling asleep, and I would sleep through the night. And it was funny because I would sometimes do it because I would dream about the music. I'll have the music in my dreams, and I just remember one night I had a little dog. The dog was inside the room with me. I was asleep, and I woke up, but something woke me up. That's what it felt like. Something woke me up. I didn't just wake up out my sleep because of a dream. No, something woke me up. And when I woke up, the music that was playing sounded like somebody turned it down very low. And I was trying to listen still to like what was going on because you're disoriented when you wake up. So I'm like trying to figure out what's going on, like what the hell is happening. And then I start to wake up, and the music still sounds very low, but something told me to look into a corner, and I can hear my dog like growling. And this was like one of those little fluffy, cute little doggies. So he was just always like minding his business. Like he wasn't aggressive. He was never trying to fight anything. He was just always trying to get pet and just sleep and just chill. He was a chill ass dog. So he starts looking in the corner, start growling, and I kid you not, I used to have little lights around, like little LED, not LED, little fairy lights around my room. So it lit up the room so I can see. So when I fell asleep at night, those fairy lights were on so I can still see in the room. But there was this very long shadow figure, very, very, very long, in the corner of my room. And I just remember I couldn't move, so I'm looking like out the side of my eye at like in the corner because I can't, see anything else. So I'm looking out the side of my eye at this thing, and I'm like, oh my God, what is it? And then it looked like there was multiple, like maybe three that were there. And then I remember seeing like the shadow of this thing, and then it looked like it was more than one. And then one of them starts shrinking and it starts moving on the floor. And mind you, this whole time I'm trying to follow as much as I can with my eye, but all I see is it there, and then it starts, moving, and then it moves out of my eyesight, and I can't see it anymore. And my dog at this point is like growling and scared, like he's growling, and then he's kind of whimpering. He looks scared, and he would sleep on the bed with me. He gets off the bed and he's just kind of like, I don't want nothing to do with you, homegirl. I don't know what the fuck you got going on, but I don't want nothing to do with this. So he hops off the bed and he's still growling, and now he's growling at me, and I'm like, oh my God, it's because this thing is coming on me. The whole time I can't talk, I can't move. The only thing I can do is control my eyes at this point. And I remember this thing starts coming, and then it comes from my, like, to the bottom of my feet. It starts moving up on my body, and it's sitting on my chest, like on my whole body. But my whole body is not only like paralyzed at this point where I can't move, but it feels like something is pushing and sinking me down into the mattress, and I feel like I'm sinking into the mattress. And because I'm able to look down, all I see is black, just very heavy, smoky black. Now that I'm a practitioner, I know, like, yeah, that was an entity, that was something that was like feeding off of my energy that was in within my room. But back then I had no idea what the hell that was. And this thing is sinking me down into the bed, and I'm like, holy fuck, what this shit? Like, I like want to scream, and then like there's tears coming out of my eyes, and I can like feel it coming down my face. And then my dog is still growling at this point, and then all of a sudden it just disappears. And that's the thing, I didn't do anything. Like, the only thing I'm thinking in my head is like, what is going on? Like, I'm so scared. Like, I just wanted to stop. Please stop. And then it stops and it disappears, and those shadow figures, they disappear. And then my dog stops growling. He just starts whimpering, and then he jumps back up on the bed with me. And then I remember, like, finally, when I gained like the sensation, the feeling back in my body to where I can move, I like popped up, like I was just popped back up, and I like started screaming, like I was like I just started screaming. And then my mother came after that, and it was funny because she told me about her sleep paralysis experience, because this was something that she experienced as well a few times. But after that, like anytime I got sleep paralysis, I already knew what time it was. I already knew what was going on. But yeah, that's my experience with sleep paralysis. I don't know if you want to share, you can go ahead and share, you could comment. But yeah, those are the two stories that I want to share with you, because they was both spooky as hell, they was both weird as fuck. But like I said, take everything with a grain of salt. You don't have to, you know, believe me, but you might relate, because this might have happened to you. And if you were unaware of what it was, that's definitely an entity, definitely a parasite. um, they will feed off of your energy. If they can feel it, they will feed off of you. They will try to be around you, attach themselves to you as much as they can, as long as you know you don't have your defenses up, or you don't have your, you know, your protection up. But with that being said, please make sure that you like this video. You can also subscribe to my channel. You can check me out, as I have multiple platforms. I'm on Instagram. I'm also on TikTok. I will leave that information in the description box below. But other than that, thank you so much for letting me share my story. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.